You look around this cold, dark world, don't you? You see the cracks. Maybe they're in the pavement. Maybe they're in the mirror, but I see them mostly in your eyes. That little flickering hope. It's like a pathetic candle in a hurricane, trying to convince itself that the monster outside is just here to tuck it in. The world, my friends, is full of people playing doctor when they're actually the disease. And you poor, shattered porcelain doll, keep crawling back to the one who dropped you, clutching your pieces and whispering, "Please make me whole again." Ah! Oh, what a hilarious joke! Let me tell you the punchline, because it's the funniest, darkest truth of all. The person who broke you can't fix you. It's an insult to the chaos. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of destruction. Let's peel back the skin on this pathetic little idea, shall we? We are talking about the deliberate nature of the wound. Don't cheapen your pain by imagining it was an accident, a stumble, a careless bump in the dark. No. Your shattering was a work of perverse genius. It requires us to stand back and applaud the sheer, calculated effort they put into dismantling you. They didn't just poke you. They performed emotional surgery with an axe, targeting the most vital, irreplaceable parts of your core. Think of yourself as a beautifully constructed building, years in the making. You had defenses, load-bearing walls of trust, windows of hope, and foundations rooted in self-worth. Your destroyer didn't aim for the decorative railing or the peeling paint. Oh, the brilliance of it! They didn't graze you, they studied you. They took the time to memorize the precise location of the structural vulnerabilities. The spot where your confidence met your deepest insecurity. The fragile junction of your history and your future aspirations. They analyze the blueprints of your soul, not to appreciate the design, but to find the single, most critical point where a blow would yield maximum catastrophic collapse. Pull. They identified that core pillar, the part that held everything up, perhaps your belief in reciprocity, your faith in kindness, or your stubborn, magnificent ability to forgive. And they decided that column needed to be reduced to dust. The weapon of choice was never random. It was a customized tool for your specific undoing, a whispered lie, a perfectly timed betrayal, a cold dismissal of your deepest fear. They didn't use a hammer. They used a sledgehammer of emotional terrorism, because their goal wasn't to dent you. It was to guarantee that your foundation would crumble, taking everything else with it in a spectacular, weeping mess. And why such dedication to such meticulous ruin? The simple, intoxicating reason is people, because they could. They saw something whole, something vibrant, something that possessed an inner light. And they asked themselves the question only true agents of chaos ask, wouldn't it be funnier if it screamed? The resultant chaos, the agonizing fallout, the way your world tilted permanently off its axis. That wasn't a mistake. That was the desired, calculated outcome. Your pain is, to them, not an unfortunate side effect, but the sound of their victory. Now hold that image in your mind. The meticulous planning, the targeted strike, people, the sheer theatricality of the destruction. And then contrast it with the pathetic, flimsy notion that this same person could possibly possess the tools, the wisdom, or, God forbid, the will to mend you. It's an intellectual absurdity. If they had even an ounce of the empathy, the compassion, or the moral framework required to lovingly repair a broken thing, they would have never, ever shattered you in the first place. The capacity to destroy and the capacity to heal are not held by the same heart. At least, people, not when the destruction was born of malice or profound, self-serving indifference. Asking them to fix you is to misunderstand the nature of the predator. You are asking a lion who has just feasted on a delicious, hard-won steak to kindly regurgitate it, apologize for the inconvenience, and then soothe the hunger it created. The lion feels no guilt. It feels satisfaction. Your agony is their masterpiece. The sight of your scattered pieces is the museum exhibit they've curated. And they are certainly not about to ruin the canvas by sloppily attempting a repair. Their investment was in the breaking, not the bonding. To repair, you would be to admit the original act was a mistake. And to a mind that finds joy in calculated cruelty, the breaking was the only perfect truth. They are incapable of healing because they are defined by the very force that tore you apart. Ah, yes, the inevitable return. They always come back, don't they? Like a bad penny or a recurring, hideous nightmare that offers to sell you cheap, ineffective sleeping pills. This is where the comedy truly becomes tragic. They saunter back into your shattered landscape, hands outstretched, offering these moist, sickly things they call apologies. Don't be fooled by the wrapping. These are not gifts of peace. They are sticky little blobs of guilt masquerading as the very healing agent you desperately crave. Watch their hands, I told you. Watch them closely. They aren't carrying the delicate instruments of a true surgeon, the fine thread of remorse, or the antiseptic of genuine self-reflection. No, their toolkit contains only one item, a giant, industrial-sized tube of blame-shifting glue. This isn't an act of restoration. It's a desperate attempt at damage control, entirely focused on preserving their fragile self-image. Every time they press a piece of you back into place, the gesture is not one of care, but of calculated conditional responsibility. They attach the broken shard, but the bond is secured with a confession that you were ultimately at fault. Listen to the toxic adhesive cure. I wouldn't have had to lash out if you hadn't been so demanding. I'm sorry you felt that way, but if you hadn't been so fragile to begin with, this wouldn't have been an issue. I'll help you pick up the pieces, but you need to understand that you expected too much. Do you see the sinister genius? The so-called fix instantly and seamlessly becomes a new form of control. They don't want you whole, free, and resilient. They want you permanently indebted. They need you to understand, deep in your reconstructed core, that your stability, your very continuation as a functioning entity, is entirely contingent upon their continued magnanimous presence. The repairs they perform are deliberately shoddy, unprofessional, and conspicuously visible. They need those scar lines to show because every seam, people, Every poorly patched joint serves as a constant, grinding reminder that they broke you. They put you back together, and therefore, they hold the power to dismantle you again. You are not wearing a shield. You are wearing their sloppy, visible repairs as a perpetual monument to their ownership. It's the ultimate, suffocating power dynamic. You are forced to rely on your executioner for resuscitation. The bandages aren't for your wound. They are a leash disguised as a comfort. They make you feel dependent on their touch, their approval, people, and their reluctant effort to keep you standing. But every time you lean on their repair, you are confirming their narrative that your breakage was your fault, and your fix is their gift. It's a closed loop of dependency, people, where your recovery is eternally tethered to the very force that committed the initial violence. And that, my friends, is why you must never, ever let the destroyer touch the debris. They are not healers, people. They are merely recycling their victim for future use. And now we arrive at the very heart of the lie. The rotten core of this pathetic drama, the missing ingredient, the will to change. They stand before you, offering their services, their time, their precious attention, insisting they've turned a corner. They swear they've seen the light, that the old, destructive behavior is locked away in a dusty attic, never to be seen again. Ha! Oh, the beautiful delusion! It's like a serial arsonist promising to become a firefighter, all while clutching a can of gasoline and eyeing the nearest kindergarten. Look into their eyes when they make these promises, these grand declarations of reform. What do you see flickering back? Do you see genuine remorse? Do you see the agonizing process of self-examination? Do you see the hard-won, messy understanding of the pain they caused? No, you see nothing. And that, my friends, is the terrifying part. They're a hollow shell, reflecting back whatever pathetic hope you project onto them. The truth is, they haven't changed. The impulse to destroy is not a habit they can simply quit, like a bad brand of cigarette. It is an intrinsic, fundamental part of their chemistry. It's the sulfur to their saltpeter, the acid to their rain. It is the very engine that drives their existence. The core reason they broke you remains violently intact. It's the inherent need for chaos, the deep-seated hunger for control. People, the complete and utter lack of empathy that allows them to treat human beings like cheap toys to be discarded when the fun wears off. This is their history, and history, my beautiful audience, has a horrible, predictable habit of repeating itself, usually with higher casualties, a deeper crater, and a more agonizing scream. They haven't done the real work. The difficult, messy, ugly work of digging out the rot and the sickness within themselves. They've just applied a cheap, superficial veneer of civility, a desperate disguise to lure you back into their gravitational pull. People, they are still carrying the exact same infection that caused the first devastating wound. And if they put their hands back on you, even under the guise of repair, all they will do is ensure that the wound never truly closes. They don't have the antiseptic, they have the poison. They are the constant, unavoidable source of re-injury. You will spend every moment of their fix bracing for the next blow, living under the tension of their inevitable relapse. The moment their mask slips, these civilized people, the moment they feel boredom, the moment they feel challenged, or the moment they simply feel the familiar people, intoxicating urge to assert their dominance, the old pattern will snap back into place with the sickening force of a recoiling steel trap. You will realize too late that you invited the wolf back into the hen house because he promised to teach the chickens how to knit. He never wanted to knit. He just wanted a convenient, enclosed space for his next meal. The will to mend requires humility, effort, and a painful shift in perspective. And those, I assure you, are 3 things your destroyer discarded long before they decided to use your heart as a speed bag. Their inherent state is destruction, and you, my dear, are simply their favorite. Most convenient laboratory. And let us assume the impossible, shall we? Let us engage in a spectacular exercise in self-deception. What if by some miracle, some cosmic, pathetic twist of fate, your destroyer actually manages to get the pieces back together? People. What if they apply the glue, smooth the seams, and step back, puffing out their chest with pride? You're fixed. Don't celebrate. Don't you dare accept the applause, because the completion you are witnesses of the lie. It's a cheap parlor trick. You might look whole from a distance, perhaps standing across a crowded, smoky room. You might be able to fool the casual observer. But get closer. Go ahead, run your fingers along the seam. People, feel the grooves, trace the jagged lines. You are not whole, you are merely assembled. A broken thing fixed by its destroyer is never truly stable. It is not restored, people. It is merely an arrangement of past failure, a hollow stage prop waiting for the next scene to begin. The original material, the pure, unmarred core of your confidence, is gone, replaced by weak, toxic filler. They haven't fixed the material, they've simply created a superficial shell, and this shell comes with a hidden, agonizing cost. It has internalized the lesson that you are inherently breakable. Every step you take, every new challenge you face, you will feel the ghost of those cracks. You will become obsessed with the old fault lines. Your destroyer's repair hasn't given you strength. It has given you fear. You are no longer living in the moment. You are living under the tension of the inevitable relapse. People. You'll spend the rest of your days walking on emotional eggshells, terrified that the slightest tremor, the briefest moment of pressure, or the simple boredom of your keeper will cause you to shatter along the exact same seams. Why? Because the original force, the one that knew exactly where to strike, has not been neutralized. They have merely proven that you can be broken and put back together, establishing a terrifying precedent. You have become a reusable weapon, a perfectly calibrated target. These civilized people, they've taught you that the boundaries of your stability are conditional, tied to their temperament, and always susceptible to their intervention. Their fix isn't for your benefit, it's to soothe their own need for narrative control. They want to be the hero of the story, the benevolent monster who put the creature back in its cage. They want the power of having dismantled you and the subsequent power of having reassembled you. It's not about healing. It's about establishing absolute, terrifying dominion over your fragility. You were once a fortress. Now you're just a glued together vase waiting for the next sharp nasty tap for an encore. What a beautiful tragedy. So we come to the grand finale. The final, exhilarating twist in this whole gruesome show. If the destroyer can't fix you, and their attempts to mend only leave you chained and terrified, then what is the glorious, terrifying conclusion? The point is not just to survive. The point is evolution. The fix isn't in their hands, it's in the rubble. It's in the sheer, magnificent realization that the true power, the power to build a better, stronger, more menacing structure, rests entirely with the victim. These civilized people, when you finally realize that going back for their cheap, toxic apologies is the greater self, betrayal, these civilized people, when you gather your scattered pieces and decide to walk away from the architect of your ruin, you are not just surviving, you are transcending. You are seizing the terrifying freedom of the empty slate. They left you in ruins, good. Now, you have the opportunity to build a masterpiece out of the mess. You take those broken shards, those jagged memories, those agonizing fault lines, and you don't try to fit them back into the original fragile design. That design was flawed, it was breakable. No, you mold them into something unrecognizable, something fierce, something new. This is where you practice kintsugi, my friends. The beautiful, agonizing art of repairing broken pottery with gold lacquer. You don't try to hide the damage. You highlight it. You take those visible cracks, those lines where their hatred and cruelty tried to infiltrate these civilized people, and you fill them with the most valuable substance you possess, your own self, respect, your sheer willpower, your defiant refusal to be small again. The resulting structure is not merely fixed, it is superior. It is a monument to resilience. The cracks don't signify weakness. They signify the exact locations where the external force failed to conquer you. You become stronger not in spite of your scars, but because of them. They are the gold lines that prove you survived a catastrophe and upgraded your own defense system. Don't let their dirty blood, stained hands touch your precious rubble. Take those pieces, and instead of relying on their cheap, conditional, blame-shifting glue, you fuse them together with the fire of your own self. Determination! The real, spectacular joke is on them when they step back, expecting to see a cowed, assembled puppet, and instead realize that their act of destruction didn't just break a thing. It liberated a monster! You are no longer their victim, you are their unforgettable, highly dangerous consequence. And that, my friends, is why we choose to build the scar, not hide it.